How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this?
You're listening to the writeoutdoors.com podcast.
No, baby, you dig it the most.
A podcast about hunting, fishing, and everything else outdoors.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious...
I'm your host, Ron Hustvedt, outdoor writer, photographer, and founder of writeoutdoors.com.
Well, that right there may be the reason you've had difficulty finding game from swimming.
Covering tips and tactics from the outdoors experts, both in the studio and out in the field.
Damn, we're in a tight spot.
So without further ado, here's the show.
That would be great.
Thank you for that lovely tune. That funky music will drive us till the dawn.
Welcome to another episode of the writeoutdoors.com podcast, and thank you for checking out the show. I'm your host, Ron Hustvedt, and this is an awesome episode with some great fishing, close-up nature shots, and some exciting underwater photography. This episode was shot in the Hobie Pro Angler boat once again, and this time I'm using the Mirage Drive to pedal around in a small lake in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It is a Forest Service lake that has some cabins around it, but not very many, and it does not get a ton of fishing pressure. You could try to find it on the map, but across northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, there are literally thousands of these lakes. Much like the vast majority of those lakes, this one is chock full of largemouth bass. It's an awesome, untapped fishery that is made for small watercraft. The big boats just can't get into these locations. Here's some of that underwater footage I was talking about. As you can see, the Hobie Mirage Drive pedaling system delivers a lot of speed and pushes a lot of water with a minimal effort. I was able to cruise around this several hundred acre lake, no problem, and move quickly from one fish location to another. Alright, well, as you can see, fishing topwater, largemouth bass. Not a bad sized bass at all. Don't want to tear his little mouth up here more than it already is. There we go. It's not bad. It's a fun little bass. As you can see, got the beautiful coloration up here in these northern Michigan waters. Let him go. I also did a little bit of nature shooting on this lake, which is full of wildlife. The loon was being rather shy and not letting me get too close. There was an eagle soaring around the lake at the same time, and I think her focus was on the big bird, and I was a mere annoyance. These white-tailed deer were a bit more willing to let me get close. The nice thing about not having a paddle and moving entirely with my feet on the Mirage Drive is that I can move in more stealthily with less visual movement and less noise. The deer stared at me until I got close enough that they could see a human face, and then they took off. I hope it wasn't just my face that scared them off. There was also a female common merganser in her clutch of young birds. Mergansers typically lay between 9 and 12 eggs, which is right with the size of this crew. Within 8 days of hatching, the young birds are skillful divers, and 35 to 50 days after hatching, the mother abandons the brood, leaving them to fend for themselves. This final grouping is a bunch of mallard chicks and the mother hen. These chicks are actually getting quite large and are probably close to learning how to fly. As I conclude this episode of the writeoutdoors.com podcast, I have more underwater footage to share with you. This first shot begins on the bottom of the lake and slides up through the water column to highlight the Mirage Drive system on the Hobie. You can also see the rudder in action as I turn the boat. The next underwater shot is a side view of the Mirage Drive. I still find it amazing that each foil has more surface area than a kayak paddle. Give one a try and you'll see how awesome it is. I'd like to say thanks again to the folks at Hobie and at High Tempo Kayak in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Check the closing credits for websites and contacts. A big thanks also goes to Aquaview for using their underwater camera.